Okay, so I want to invite us to consider some angles on mutuality that aren't necessarily the habitual ways we talk about mutuality in the Trillium work. So the habitual way of talking about it and the definition is honoring and expressing our true and total nature while making room for the other person to honor and express their true and total nature. True and total. Total means the wholeness, including our humanity and messed up, quirky configurations and conditioning and limits. True nature is, our divine nature. So when we relate to each other in that frame of mutuality that we talk about in Trillium, it's making room for the other person's divinity and their humanity, and the same goes for ourselves. And it tends to get talked about as a way of not only relating, but figuring out the rubs, like we will rub against each other, we will hurt each other's feelings, we'll step on each other's toes, there will be misunderstandings. And to stay in mutuality, we talk about maintaining the connection and daring to be authentic with one another. Not doing it perfectly, not sitting there white-knuckled until everything is resolved. Mutuality has to breathe, and there might be times where you come together and go apart, come together until the mutual evolution has resolved enough that you can move forward. And sometimes mutuality means it's resolved enough that there's a shift in your relationship and maybe you don't continue in such an intimate way. Who knows? Very organic. So we tend to think of mutuality as this exchange process. And I want to just highlight for a moment, we just spent some time gazing. And to me, gazing in some ways is an even more intimate form of mutuality than discussing something. There's just pure presence of being in each other's field. And I tend to feel very exposed when I'm gazing with someone. There's this quality of nakedness. And I would even argue that quality of nakedness is maybe even the texture of existential mutuality in the presence of another person. So I don't remember who it was. It may have been Rod Taylor or Krishna Gauchi, two long-time Trillium teachers. And one of them said something like, mutuality is a fundamental condition of awakened life. It's actually, we actually awaken into the recognition of our fundamental relatedness. So you could say that we awaken in mutuality, awaken to mutuality. We can even say by doing sittings and working with teachers and being in communities that are awakening together, we awaken within community. There's something about the collective field and that mutuality that is catalytic to the awakening process. So we awaken through mutuality. We template off the teacher's awakened state of being, and then we awaken within the field of mutuality as an existential truth, as a recognition almost of its own right. So what I wanted to explore a little more deeply today is how we can actually sense into the quality of interbeing beyond just the dynamics of having a conversation and being authentic with one another, but really dropping into the experiential ground of interrelatedness. And then from that place, do some inquiry. What does it mean to be dropped in like that? How does that inform what we say and how we act? So I would like to invite us to go into a guided meditation. So we'll begin by closing our eyes. And I'm going to close my eyes as well. So if you're watching this as a video, you can close your eyes because there's nothing that interesting to be seen. I'm just going to be talking. And your own experience is what's really important. So go ahead and close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so. And bring your awareness to yourself. So I like to differentiate between attention and awareness. Attention is sort of like the light that's turned on in the room so you can see everything. That's a general awareness that lights everything up. And then attention is like a spotlight that you can laser in on something. So the room is lit up, but I am looking for my car keys, so I'm lasering in on that. So what I'm inviting us to do right now is to bring our attention, our spotlight, our muscle of focused awareness to our bodies. So bring your awareness inward to your body. And as you do that, taking some deep breaths and allowing your body to relax as much as it can right now. So inhaling, keeping your attention on your interior space, and exhaling and allowing your body to relax just a bit more. A couple breaths there, really dropping in. And now we'll do a little discernment around noticing our body. So I want you to pick one of your hands, doesn't matter left or right, choose a hand. And with your attention on your hand, narrowed down on your hand, just notice as much about the hand as you can. The sensations, temperature, skin, what it's in contact with and how that feels. Maybe even sensing the blood moving through the fingertips or palm. Sensing your bones and muscles, ligaments. So that feels pretty comprehensive, right? Really being aware of the sensations and how it feels, how your hand feels now. I invite you to actually, instead of observing your hand, inhabit it. Occupy your hand from the inside. Being the experience of your hand from the inside, not the observer, but actually within your hand. So if you're able to notice a difference between watching it from the outside and then inhabiting your hand from the inside, I invite you to then bring that same shift into your whole body. So instead of just being aware of your body, let's see how much of your body you could actually inhabit from the inside, being inside your body. And from inhabiting your body this way, now sense what it's like to be you from the inside. Sensing the bones, the muscles, tissue, organs, blood flow. This is what it's like to be you on the material level, inhabiting your material self. So you could say there's a way in which you're in mutuality with yourself on a physical level. You're sensing and open to and inhabiting, noticing, and allowing your body to be as it is. And then you can soften that perception to more subtle energies. So noticing your emotional quality right now. Sensing your emotional quality. You can be in mutuality with yourself, with your emotions. What's it like to relate to your emotions, even as you inhabit them? Right? You're inhabiting them and you can relate to them intimately, the emotional field. Same thing with your thoughts. Letting the thoughts be there, even as you're within your body and they're happening. You can also be in relationship to your thoughts at the same time. And even more subtle, your energetic field. Sensing your energetic field. Noticing how close or how far from the edge of your skin it might be. The quality of it. Is it buzzy or is it quiet? So allowing yourself to inhabit your energetic field and also be in relation to it. Curious about it. So this is one level of mutuality, deep mutuality with yourself. And sometimes as you go through your day, you might notice, especially if there's a decision to be made, you might have conflicting impulses. Some part of you might say yes, and some part of you might say no. So what might it be like to be in mutuality with different aspects of yourself? Different aspects within yourself. Relating to them, being curious, letting them be as they are. So, having settled to whatever ability, whatever degree you're able into in mutuality with yourself, like inhabiting yourself deeply and being open to yourself, curious about yourself, noticing. I'm going to invite you to widen your attention to include the group, everyone in this group. Without leaving your body, you staying within your body. Deep mutuality with yourself, but softening your awareness and allowing yourself to perceive the others in the group. And seeing how permeable you can let yourself be to the group. So staying deep within yourself and at the same time permeable to the group, just noticing what it feels like to be in experiential, existential mutuality with the group. You might notice some ways that you're pulling away or trying to protect yourself, or you might notice yourself leaving your body, your being, and moving away from yourself into everyone else. So just noticing your tendencies and seeing whether you can somehow still stay deeply connected with yourself while staying open to the group. And noticing what this quality of interbeing feels like. Don't have to have any words, just sensing. We're actually cultivating a new sense organs of mutuality, sense organs of interbeingness. Just notice what it feels like and how you might describe that sensation. Of being in mutuality with yourself at the same time as being in mutuality with the whole group. Great. And wherever this takes you just is fine, right? It's just practice. This is just a muscle of perception that we're practicing. And it's not something necessarily we were raised with, although some of us may have been, and that was a lucky blessing, but even so, it can be cultivated more deeply. Let's widen the attention beyond the group without losing connection with the group, but widening the attention to include the earth as a whole. It's almost like layers of an onion, although the skin between each layer is super subtle and ultimately very faint. The more we awaken, the more faint it gets. But widening the attention to include being open to the earth as a whole. And just noticing what it feels like without leaving your body and without leaving the group, but to include the field of the earth. Notice what the sensation of that is. I'm going to take it one final step wider. So without leaving your body, or the group, or the earth, widening your attention all the way out so that it actually merges with awareness, pure awareness itself, which means it includes the whole universe. It includes everything they could possibly perceive and beyond. So you're still anchored in the core of your being, your uniqueness and physical body, still anchored within the group, still anchored within the field of the earth, even as you open and become permeable to the entire field of life, of the universe, and the infinite field of being. So some of you have asked, well, what does it mean to really interbe? And I would say the answer is we're still discovering. Yeah, so what does it mean? What does it look like to be so deeply rooted in the entire experience of our own being and permeable to the whole, all the layers of interbeing? How does it affect what we say? How does it affect what we hear? How does it affect our choices? So this is a contemplation I'm going to leave you with. It's a contemplation for all of us to grow into. So I'm going to stop the recording.